Hey, what's up guys, Lux here bringing you a new video, and today we're doing a Lego comparison between Vizlas Mandalorian Starfighter and the most recently released 2021 Mandalorian Starfighter. So this is a fun one. Obviously this is something been wanting to do since we got the news that there's going to be a new Mandalorian Starfighter in 2021. We finally got it. I'm late to the party. However, I still wanted to do this video and I thought it could be fun. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So pretty much how this is going to work, I am going to look at both aspects of the sets here, their build, their figures, how I think they improve or maybe not improved over time. So yeah, should be a fun little video to make here. But anyways, without further ado, let's get started. First off, we're going to start off with Vizsla Starfighter over here to the left. This is the white one. Now in terms of, we're just going to get this out of the way, color scheme. I think this one I prefer a little bit more. It looks a lot more clean and it definitely pops out a lot. Now when it comes to detail and things like that, obviously you don't see a lot. You see a couple gray plates, you see a couple blue plates to change up the color scheme a little bit, but the pattern or the type of design they go for here, I don't think I like too much. But from face value, I think I definitely prefer this, just the color scheme in general. The front of the cockpit, they have these cannons here or blasters. Obviously they're just meant for display. They don't do too much. You can move them left and right. I prefer just the ones that they use for display, not the ones that you can like play or interact with. That's just me. We have some stickers in the front to give it a little bit more detail. I think that's fine. Moving down, I don't like this exposed front piece right here. I think it looks kind of bad, I'll be honest. I get it on the wings here because, covering all this up can be pretty annoying, but the front, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have done better here. Opening the cockpit, you can see it has room for two figures. Here we go. So as you can see here, they actually do have the jetpacks on. I forgot that the jetpack wasn't the issue, but the cape on Vizsla. Obviously, if you want to close this, it's going to bend the cape a little bit. That's the only downside, and you don't really want to squish it in there. So that's the only downside. It actually fits both Mandalorians pretty well. It does have a little sticker as the front cockpit control area, so that's okay. Obviously, you prefer a printed piece, but I guess at the time they thought that would be a better choice there. But yeah, the build's pretty alright. If we move further up in the build, you can see that there is a little bit of a holding area here. This is the trunk. Taking a look and turning it around, you can see inside there is actually a printed piece here. Would prefer they use that printed piece maybe for the front, but here it looks like it's holding a little bit of a box, just an indicator here of like some cargo. Inside there's actually nothing, so you can treat this as a bomb, as a little safe, whatever you want. But it's kind of cool that they include a little trunk back here. Nothing too big, but a pretty neat inclusion for sure. In the back you got these, which I believe to be like smaller thrusters. I don't know, they spin. I don't know the whole like layout, skeleton, and design choices of these ships like in canon. But anyways, you got a sticker up here. It is a little bit peeling, but that's the downside with stickers. You get some detail, but in exchange over time they'll definitely start peeling off. Back here we got some thrusters. These are very like clean looking thrusters. You just got the reverse pieces here, and I think they work out pretty well. More stickers near the thrusters here, and as you saw there, you can move the wings up and down. However, it is a little bit stiff. If I do say so myself, it's good for holding them. Like you can hold this and it's not gonna move. But when it comes to maybe you're gonna play around with this or realign it in your display, it's definitely gonna be quite annoying. But obviously that's just a minor nitpick. Looking back over here at the cockpit, I forgot to mention that it has a couple stickers, one to the left, right, and over here in the center, as well as a plate up here to cover up those studs. If we take a look at the inside of the wings, we can see that in terms of detail, there really isn't too much there. It's just a couple more plates to either hold some pieces together. We got these things, obviously, to connect these a little bit better. We have this as like some slight detail, but really nothing to write home about. I think they definitely missed the mark when it comes to the underside of this. But obviously their main focus was the front. But even then, like at least now, maybe at the time it was a little bit better, but it just doesn't, besides the color scheme, which I'm still a fan of, it just doesn't look that good. Definitely could have done with a little bit more detail. Again, I'm sure if I got this at the time of release, this would have been passable. It would have been great actually. I would have definitely put this at my like most wanted set probably of that year. Well, there's like a lot of good sets from that year, but just a very desirable one for sure. and a good little piece to get, especially from the Clone Wars series. One last thing I forgot to mention is that it actually has some landing gear, something that will be very significant when we take a look at this later on with the newest Mandalorian Starfighter from 2021. But yeah, for a 2013 model, it's not too bad. Honestly, I bought this not knowing they were going to remake it, and I was satisfied with it. Obviously, it was nothing insane. I'd still rate it pretty high. And the fact that it still holds up to this day, I think it's a pretty good testament to how well this was designed. Not incredibly well, but pretty good. The cockpit spins, it does the job that you need it to. I like the fact that this spins instead of maybe like the wings, which we'll take a look at in the next set. And I know this was misplaced. I know these are misplaced. Let's ignore that for now. But anyways, moving on to the Mandalorian Starfighter. Next up here, we have the updated 2021 summer Mandalorian Starfighter here, and obviously we can see some great improvements and some slight missteps that they made along the way from this 8-year gap. So yeah, some are obvious, some are a little subtle, but we're going to get into that right now. So first off, from the beginning here, from the front of the ship, I think they definitely made an improvement when it comes to the shaping of the nose here. Here we have two guns. Instead of being on the side, they're in the center. I think that's definitely a lot more appealing to look at. When it comes to me, obviously very clean, transitioning all the way to the cockpit here. Also has a sticker to the side and up top, even covering up the stud here, but leaving two of them exposed. So I don't think it's that noticeable, so it doesn't really bother me too much. Opening it up here, two minifigures actually fit as well, including with their jetpacks on. Taking a closer look at the interior here, we can see that there's a little bit of control pattern that is printed, so that's something that the other one lacked. But they still got it in, even if it was in a sticker form. There's plenty of room here for two figures, as I will show off here. As you can see there, two figures fit perfectly fine, similar to the other one. There's no cape here, so obviously they don't have like that downside of, not having enough room for a cape, or at least it's not obvious. But, the other one not having room even for the cape is kind of sucky, especially since that's one of the main appeals to their figure there. On the side here, moving along the cockpit, we can see some stud shooters. I'm not a big fan of that. I definitely think that's a downgrade. 100%. I know it's meant for playability. This is a play set, but I don't know. Just that's my personal preference. I'm sure it's good to meet that playability quota to make a set. And the reason we got this, so you can always remove this if you want. I don't like customizing sets, but I'm sure I will edit this, but I don't like the fact that I have to. Moving back here, we got, I definitely did talk about this piece right here. I don't know why. I went to good detail in the review. Link down below if you're interested to both of these reviews. I like the grill design they have here. It's very nice. They don't have a little bit of a storage area back here similar to the previous model. However, they do have a sticker back here similar to the other one. We have this spinning thing. Again, I don't know what the use for this is. Maybe I should have done more research on the gauntlet, but oh well. Back here they have thrusters. I like that they keep the yellow thrusters still. I'm sure that's accurate. Down here above the thrusters, they also have some stickers, so they keep that from the other set, keeping the design the same. And speaking of design, we're going to look at the wings here. I think they definitely did a massive improvement when it comes to the wing design. The color scheme, I think it fits definitely because they are going off the season 7, which this is based off of. Inspiration from Clone Wars. A lot of blue, dark blue, and gray involved there, and this definitely fits that scheme. The design is really nice here with these tiles connecting everything. While there's a lot of studs exposed, it's like they're all meant to be there. They're all meant to give it a little bit more character with these different styles they use. They use a bunch of flat ones on top here. You can see that it ends it off pretty nicely. Instead of having like a squarish end like the other one did, they have a pointy triangle one, and I like how it indents forward as well, inwards. Now we take a look at underneath the wings here. We can see that they definitely try to add a little bit more design and try to cover up some places, give it a little bit more variety with the different colors they use here. But again, it just doesn't look too good. I do like that they use these colors in particular, like the dark blue, the darker gray. They're not as noticeable with the open anti-studs here, but just in general, I'm not too big of a fan. But that's a complaint you're always going to have. I do think it came out better than previous Starfighter, but both of them, I say they're equally, I wouldn't call it horrible, bad. I think they're mutually, the same. I get why it's there. I understand they can't cover all this up. The pattern, I'm not a big fan of on the Vizlas one. On this one, it's alright. It's passable. There's not much of a improvement there, but I don't expect big improvement when it comes to trying to cover up all this and making this look good. The main design is up top. I think they did a really good job with that. Color scheme wise, I don't like it as much as pre-Vizlas, but I do like the design. One more thing to point out is that they do have a low flick fire missiles located down here. You probably didn't notice them at first. That's how well hidden they are, unlike the stud shooters, of course. And all you gotta do is flick down on this gently, and it goes absolutely flying. Gosh dang, you can poke someone's eye out. Probably where they have the warnings, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this gauntlet in the Mandalorian Star Fighter. I definitely do think they made some improvements. However, one thing that we didn't point out that it's a massive downgrade is you see how it's very flat on the ground here. There is a difference in size, especially in the cockpit. This is a lot wider. This one's a little bit cleaner and thinner, and so there is that. It's not as blocky as the one over here. This is definitely a lot cleaner. However, like I mentioned before, there is no landing gear, and that really is a misstep. I don't know how they missed something as crucial as that. Obviously, you can add a couple bricks here to give it a makeshift landing gear, but how hard really is it to recreate something like this? Like literally a couple pieces. Doesn't have to be as big because obviously this one is closer to the ground compared to this one. It's not as tall, it's not as wide or big, but it's just such a simple design. I don't know how they really missed that. That's something, yeah, I don't know. I can't fathom like not giving this landing gear, especially when you put it on the ground yourself. Like you don't notice that it's almost touching the ground. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see it here. It's slightly floating sometimes depending on how you have it positioned because of a little piece here. This is, I guess this is what's meant to be the landing gear. I don't like how it's this close to the ground. I think it's definitely a misstep. Even if they add another one here, that's all they needed. That's all they really needed to do. But yeah, definitely something that bothers me. It bothers most people that have gone to set. They've said it in the past as well. When it comes to picking up these sets, obviously you're going to pick it up from the back. I like picking them up from the middle. I don't know why. I'm an idiot, but this one's a lot more loose. Like I'll show you guys right now. If I pick it up from here, the cockpit seems to move very easily. And if you're not careful, the whole thing can spin. But for the most part, it's pretty good. When you open the wings, though, that's when it becomes an issue. As you can see, I grab it here and it starts spinning without me even trying. A piece went flying, so hopefully I can find where that went. I don't like that. Obviously, that's just personal preference because you're not meant to pick it up from the front because that's the weakest point. But unlike the 2022 version, the 2013 version is a lot more sturdy. This is given because it's bigger. There's more weight distributed. Most of the weight of this newest version is in the wings, so again, the cockpit is smaller. There's not much weight distribution. Here, I can pick it up, no issue. Like, it moves slightly, but I can really control it very easily here. As you can see, that's just a minor nitpick of mine. Not really the set's fault or the designer's fault. Just something that comes with the size change there. But yeah, now we're going to look at the builds. Let's take a look at the figures. Alright, the first figure we have up here from previous Starfighter. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi in his Clone Wars uniform. Obviously, from the Clone Wars era, we can see and tell by the very big cartoonish eyes, something that LEGO did during the Clone Wars show. They gave most of these characters very big animated eyes to obviously correlate it or represent their Clone Wars counterpart. Obviously, at the time, I guess LEGO thought it was a good idea, but now, they realized their mistakes, I'm sure. We haven't seen this style of figure return since. Not too much printing on Obi-Wan here. If we take a look at the back, no printing at all. No leg printing either. All we get is some chest printing there, which is cool to get nowadays. We don't see the Clone Wars iterations being recreated, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of nice to have them, but that lacking in detail definitely shows and is very prominent here. Obi-Wan staring at you with his big blue eyes. Typically a good thing, but when they're this big, I'm not sure. I also do like the hairpiece a bit. Again, I just think if they use a regular minifigure face and more detail on the figure, it would have been really, really good. So if they were made during modern times, but that just wasn't the norm back then. So he comes with his lightsaber accessory and a pretty okay figure all around. You got multiples of this guy scattered about in a bunch of Clone Wars sets at the time. So yeah, not a very exciting figure to get at all. But yeah, that's been Clone Wars Obi-Wan. Moving on. Next up here we have an ordinary Death Watch Mandalorian. Obviously, you can see not much printing here. This figure was used in a battle pack back then, so that probably is a good indication of why he didn't get much printing, like on the feet and things like that. He does have a jetpack in the back, which is good because he doesn't have any printing in the back, so that definitely covers it up. That's a little jetpack accessory, definitely one that is still used today, so obviously you can tell that's a very nice accessory to get in this set for sure. He also has a jetpack in the back, but no back printing, so I guess that's good that they included that there, huh? Pretty nice piece to get. Underneath the helmet, he has a regular default Mandalorian face actually, so yeah, it's something I didn't expect for them to get. Not expecting these guys to have any facial expression at all, but they do include a Mandalorian face here, so that's kind of neat. Obviously still in the Clone Wars art style. Definitely not a desired thing nowadays, but you know, just keep the helmet on and keep moving, guys. I do like the chest printing, you know, pretty simplistic, but obviously works here. These guys are great for army building as well, as they came in battle packs, as I mentioned before. And yeah, there's not much more. The color seems good. Blue, gray, some dark blue as well. But yeah, that's been the Death Watch Mandalorian figure. Moving on. Next up here, the prize figure of this set. The figure that's somehow worth significantly more than what the whole set itself was worth back then. MSRP at least. This is pre-Vizsla himself. Has not been made since, so that definitely is a big contribution to the increased price on buying one of these guys. So this figure itself, honestly, for the time, it's a really good one, to be fair. So starting off with the chest printing here, it's a slight variation of the Death Watch Mandalorian. There's some blue on top instead of some gray, and some other small change in detail. Leg printing, this guy actually did get some leg printing, which was very uncommon at the time. You can see it's not like the best. You can see some colors overlapping each other in not a good way, but still very nice and something you didn't see on many figures back then. In the back here, no back printing. However, they do include a silver jetpack here, so it covers that up. Helmet, silver as well. We got the details there, like the ones indicating he's from Clan Vizsla. Very nice there. He does come with his dark saber, which is still used today. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing because we still need an updated dark saber, but you know, Lego's Lego. He also came with this side cape here, which is a very nice piece of cloth, showing the symbol of his house. A very nice piece to get here. Something we don't see too much nowadays, printing on some cloth. You see it here and there, but definitely something nice to get. If you remove the helmet down here, it does have his face as well. It is a slight variation from the regular Mandalorian. As you can see there, more shade, more lines and details there as well. He unfortunately doesn't have a second face in the back, but he does indeed come with his own hair piece. Obviously, the set was made before, you know, he went bald in the later on in the season of Clone Wars. I honestly preferred his bald look with the scar and stuff, but you know what? It's still a fair one to get. Nice that they included a hairpiece. Again. And yeah, pre-Vizsla, this is an incredible figure. Hasn't been made since. His price has skyrocketed. It's understandable why, because he definitely had a heavy presence in the TV show. Definitely a pretty desirable figure. Definitely one of the standout characters, even though him not being a main character in the show. Just whenever you see him on screen, you can tell something big's gonna happen. Anyways, moving on. Up next here from the Mandalorian Star Fighter set, here we have the Mandalorian Loyalist. A very well detailed figure. Obviously pretty much better than anything we got from the previous figures we took a look at in previous Starfighter, but that's understandable given that it was an 8-year gap between these two sets, and since then LEGO's definitely made some improvements when it comes to details on these Star Wars figures. This Mandalorian Loyalist, which is meant to be just another Mandalorian figure in the background, similar to the Death Watch figure in the previous Starfighter. It comes packing with a lot of detail while it's missing like a face. It doesn't really matter, you're typically never going to take off the helmet. He comes with 2 pistols as an accessory. The chest printing is great. He comes with a jetpack as well as some back printing, but while we don't see that, it's still a nice addition and definitely an improvement from 2013. So yeah, this figure pretty one of the better default figures. Like when you think of just background characters or army builders, this one that stands out among a lot of them. So yeah, that's been the Mandalorian Loyalist. Moving on. Next up here is another desirable figure from the Mandalorian Starfighter. This is Bo-Katan, a figure we've been wanting for a while and finally have gotten. Pairs up pretty well with pre-Vizsla, given that she did have a big part in the series with pre-Vizsla himself until obviously he died of Darth Maul's hand. This is a figure we've been wanting for a while. Glad we finally got it. Definitely a desirable one. I feel we're gonna see this figure again, so maybe its value won't hold, but obviously value isn't always everything. This figure is really well detailed, really well printed. Obviously overdue, but still nice to get it in a very detailed manner here. Definitely getting it now is probably better than getting it back then, given that LEGO Star Wars has the ability to add a bunch of detail that might have been missing from figures back then. So yeah, great detail on the chest plate there. We got scratches to indicate that obviously she's been in battle a lot. The silver pieces, a great addition there. The helmet, really well printed, and she even has a little accessory on the helmet. So yeah, another great figure, very desirable one right now. And while I do see her getting another one in the future, but this is still a figure that most people have been wanting and will definitely be excited to get. So yeah, that's been Bo-Katan. Moving on. Next up here, a figure that I will most closely compare to Pre-Vizsla in terms of probably its exclusivity in the future. I don't see Lego making this figure again unless it's a special set where he stands out a lot. I can definitely see this after the set retires, jumping greatly in value, especially if it doesn't get made again. This is Gar Saxon, another Mandalorian loyalist previously under Pre-Vizsla, now, at least with this figure based off of under Darth Maul's rule. The Maul Mandalorian armor, very nice, very sleek, black and red, especially that yellow visor just makes him stand out really greatly. Obviously, when we first saw him in the show, everyone's been wanting him, and the fact that we actually got him in minifigure form, like a year later, that's kind of unprecedented when it comes to LEGO Star Wars giving us figures that we actually want that aren't from the movies, especially with its own custom helmet piece made specifically for him. Obviously going to be used in the future, has already been used in other sets, but it looks best on him given that it was made for him in the beginning. All that great detail is still there, from the toe printing all the way up to the helmet. Definitely a figure that's going to rival Pre-Vizsla in the future, definitely after it retires and stuff. So just looking at all these figures as a whole, each individual one in the Mandalorian Starfighter has its own unique and desirable attributes. Bo-Katan being a nostalgic and desired figure for a while now. The Mandalorian Loyalist being a very good and well detailed army builder with a potential to get even more of them in the future. And Gar Saxon, which I can see never being made again after the sets, could gradually increase in value once the set's been retired for a while. On the Pre-Vizsla Starfighter side, Pre-Vizsla himself being the main appeal, a very good figure at that. His presence in the show, definitely a big one. The fact that we never got him again after the set definitely helped his popularity. Still does, still holds to this day. Even this figure is very well detailed, something we would see today, minus a few exceptions like no back printing and stuff like that. Still an incredible figure. Even having his side cape is great in the first rendition of the dark saber, while it hasn't changed and really is not a main selling point, and really isn't a main selling point for him. It's just a very great figure for the era, and obviously still holds up to this day given how much he's definitely increased in value over the years. But overall, 100% the Mandalorian Starfighter has got it in the figure category. Sets. Now, taking a big overview, I definitely think, the choice is fairly obvious. I definitely want to give it to the 2020 sets here. There are some minor nitpicks. I definitely would make a big design change here. Well, not a big one, actually. The design's pretty nice. Detail on the wings, things like that. The stud shooters need to go. The flick fire missiles, that's fine. That can be like the good play. That can be the good play feature they can have. I like the sleeker design for the cockpit area. No storage in the back. I don't really care too much about it. I didn't care about it in the previous Starfighter. Obviously, the 8-year gap definitely gives it a big improvement. For being from 2013, this still holds up, honestly. I bought it because I thought it held up pretty well. But the design is just superior in the 2020 version. The figures, they're a big step up, at least outside of Pre-Vizsla. Pre-Vizsla, like, over Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian Starfighter, but like Gar Saxon right there with it. I can see it having the same popularity, same price increase as Pre-Vizsla himself. So, obviously that we'll just have to wait and see, but that's something that I personally think will even out when it comes to the figure category. When it comes to price points, this being $59.99, this being $49.99 at the time. Inflation, add another few more bucks. They're around the same price. This one's bigger, so you can argue, hey, you get more bang for your buck. But the design's sleeker. They use the parts more effectively. Obviously, more on the design. Here, they doesn't have too much design on the wings, so They use less pieces there. Pieces aren't everything, but just overall, like how something looks, I think you also get a much better bang for your buck when it comes to figures here as well. Yeah, this was a fun comparison to do. Tell me what you guys prefer. Do you prefer the older version? Do you prefer a newer version? I like color scheme. I like pre-Vizsla. I like landing gear, things like that from the older version. Tell me what you guys prefer. I'm definitely going with the 2020 version. I would buy more of those. Leave a comment down below if you got anything to say. But anyways, guys, if you enjoy, you know what to do. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Goodbye.